Alright, yo. So I'm gonna talk to you today about my homeboy, Jermaine Lincoln Brown. Now, let's see if I could hook this up right. I got two of these here. We'll finish this. You know what? I'm not gonna finish. That'll be my spare. No, that'll be my startup, yo. So I got a couple of things I gotta start off with a preamble. For Jermaine's family, I want to keep things totally respectful. I hope you like what I put here, and that's really, like, I've never met you directly. So far as I know, Jermaine was my boy. You know what I mean? I was deeply impacted by what happened. And I also have to say some things about, how do I put this? It's a sensitive thing here in the city. I ain't trying to rekindle a beef. Would do something to you if you did something to him, but at the same point, we all out here trying to make money. I don't want some big fight to go back and forth and make things bigger. You know what I mean? Because even Jermaine wasn't about that. He wasn't. That's why my homeboy could grind. Because yeah, we got along. I mean, like, he was a cool guy, but like, we both saw the same point of sometimes just getting to work is more important. Okay, I'm gonna read this to y'all. This is from the Toronto Police site. See the URL. It's got some big long URL, but it is from it's got SID 2176 in the URL under news article, and then it's got this 4-digit number 2176. But regardless, this is a couple years old too. This is a few years old. This came out like right when it happened. Are looking for information to help solve the shooting death of Jermaine Lincoln Brown. Brown, 22, was fatally shot at about 11 a.m. Monday night on Grand Ravine Drive in the Jane Street and Shepherd Avenue West area. Police were called to 235 Grand Ravine Drive for the sound of gunshots shortly after another deadly shooting on Weston Road. Brown was taken to hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. The investigation has led me to believe that there was a gunfight where a number of shots were fired between at least two people. This took place in the west parking lot of the building. Detective Sergeant Randy Carter told reporters at a press conference at police headquarters. This activity appears to have moved to the front boulevard part of the building where the victim was found, said Carter, noting investigators are also reviewing surveillance tapes in the area. I've received tremendous help from the community, and I need that to continue, said Carter, who was looking for information about a getaway car, a silver or green SUV similar to a GMC Yukon or Envoy, that at least one shooter used to flee the scene. A lot of people in that community has come to us and called us. Yeah, that's what it says, has come to us and called us. And of course it says call the Homicide Squad and Crime Stoppers. You can look those numbers up. I'll tell you, Homicide Squad, all police phone numbers in Toronto are 808 whatever, and then 7400 is 74 is homicide detectives, and you'll see that on the side of the cars too. Now there were several shootings that day, so sometimes Jermaine is listed with different numbers. I believe he's number 15. Hold on. It's March 28, 2006, police probe murder on Grand Ravine. Police want to trace the movements of a 22-year-old Brampton man before he was gunned down Monday night outside an apartment building at 235 Grand Ravine Drive, northeast of Jane Street and Shepherd Avenue. Police were called to the high-rise for the sound of gunshots at about 11 p.m. and located Jermaine Lincoln Brown with gunshot wounds. Brown was rushed to Sunnybrook Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police closed Grand Ravine Drive between Alderton Road and Arleta Avenue for several hours as they investigated. This is the 15th murder of the year, shooting homicide. There were 14 murders at this time last year. 8 of those were gun-related. So, I'm just gonna pause here. Just that statistic there shows you homicides went up, gun crimes went down, gun homicides went down. This was back during the year. This was the year of the gun. My homeboy opened up here. Toronto Police Deputy Chief Tony Ward said there is no connection between Brown's murder and a triple shooting about an hour early at a pizzeria on Weston Road near Eglinton Avenue. There were two other shootings that day, so sometimes he's listed as 13, 2006, sometimes as 14, 2006, sometimes as 15, but he's correctly number 15. 18, who's also, yeah, I need a lighter because my shit just went out. I gotta leave this shit up. Prince 18, I don't know this story, I don't know these people, who's also known as GP or JP, was found inside the pizzeria with gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead at the scene. Another victim who was found in a laneway was taken to hospital for treatment. Two other men arrived by taxi at a hospital a short time later. One man had a gunshot wound. Police want to speak to the cabbie who drove the men to hospital. War said he was, quote, disturbed by the shootings, but noted this is not the start of a trend. We've seen this before when we've had spikes in violence, he told reporters Tuesday afternoon during a news conference at police headquarters. I think we're still in pretty good shape, and it's just unfortunate we've had these two major shooting incidents within a couple hours of each other. If they had been spread over a few days, would we have reacted the same way? I don't even know this man, but, it's something to consider. Ward said the city is still relatively safe compared to other large cities. He said police have extra resources in areas where there have been increases in violence. Now, Mayor David Miller said the shootings are a serious concern, but Torontonians feel safe in their neighborhoods. I'm very concerned about every shooting in this city, he said. The Toronto Police Service is doing exactly the right thing. I was very pleased that this year we've got 450 new police officers on the street. Same 808, 7,400 numbers. Y'all. Let's check out this here. Alright. So this was where it gets interesting. Because some of these are not still online originally from the people that printed them. Okay, so this says, I'm going to put links up. It says, quote unquote, Pug, P-U-G, I don't know what that is. Pug, 2006 obituary. Oh, the names. Okay. I'm not going to read all this because it's not all. Okay, it says Toronto_star, Toronto Star, 2006 March 30th, published. Okay, that's what it says. And it says o@ca.on.york. That would be York University, probably. These are bulletin boards. Man killed during gunfight. Police. Okay, that's the headline. Forgive me, I didn't format this page. But uncertain if he was a shooter. Incident has some gang connection by Tracy Huffman, crime reporter. Homicide detectives investigating a fatal shooting outside a North York apartment building believe the victim was struck during a gun battle, but they are unsure if he was a shooter. Jermaine Lincoln Brown, 22, was not armed when emergency crews arrived Monday night on Grand Ravine Drive to find him suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Time out. I just need to state that that's contradictory to what some other articles say. Okay, so I'm going to keep reading. While police continue to comb through evidence and interview witnesses, Detective Sergeant Carter, the lead shooting has some gang connection to it. I haven't been able to determine ... fully yet whether or not he was himself shooting or whether or not he was just there, Carter said. Now I got to tell you this, some of the best cops, their English skills, their grammar skills, they talk like we do. So when you read it in writing, you go, oh, this guy can English. No, I don't know this guy. This case gets complicated, so I don't want to shit on the. I'm just gonna. That's just an aside. This got nothing to do with this particular show. When you see this guy's quotes sound like they don't make sense, some of the best cops speak the way we speak. Gunshots erupted in the west parking lot, moved to the front of the building where culinary arts at Umber College was found on the ground. I've received tremendous help from the community and I need that to continue, Carter said. In particular, police need help finding a silver or green sport utility vehicle similar to a GMC Yukon or Envoy that fled the scene near Jane Street and Shepherd Avenue West. One suspect with a firearm got in the front passenger. I'm still trying to people were there, who was at what location, when the shots were being fired back and forth. One firearm was recovered at the scene and is undergoing ballistics testing. Okay, timeout. They just said he wasn't armed. In another article, it says that that was his gun. Okay, so they say they found a gun next to him. This is intense for me, okay? Jermaine was the same age as me. Now, you don't get older than dead, but he was the same age as me. A lot of these guys that get shot are the same age as me. Okay, I'm going to read this part, and it gets weird, but Brown from Brampton had been staying at the apartment building since December. He had contact with police and most recently in 2005 when he was charged with sexual assault. The case was still before the courts when he became the city's 15th homicide victim. On Tuesday, Brown's parents, Linda and Frank Brown, hello Linda, hello Frank, said in an interview they were upset that the request to view their son's body prior to an autopsy were refused. They said somebody who falsely said she was Brown's girlfriend. Told you it would get weird. Toronto police spokesman Mark Pugash said protocol dictates that once a body has been identified, it cannot be viewed again until an autopsy is done to prevent evidence tampering. Carter said he apologizes to the family for upsetting them. Now, I had enough information to believe that they were related to the deceased and that they could identify the person. Okay, so that's all. That's a board repost on a website here. That is so crooked. No, I'm not going to say it was a sexual assault victim, was the alleged sexual assault, the accuser, the alligator that did that. Okay, now here we have streetgangs.com. Thank you. I was using your site before this. I just want to thank you for having this even up here. Somebody posted this up. This is, okay, this is March 26, 2006, 5 p.m. Posted by, so it says 135 posts, joined November 7th, 2005, 2:09 p.m. So maybe you're not still posting, but I'll check you out after. Two people dead, 4 wounded in 3 separate shootings in TO. Let's send this in a bit. Tuesday, March 28th, 2006, 6:44 p.m. It's a different timestamp, Eastern Time. Teen 18 among 2 dead in 3 TO shootings. CTV.ca news style by this site's in Cali. And 3 separate shootings on the streets of Toronto Monday night, up to teenager 18 and another man dead. So this is CTV.ca news staff, so it doesn't even have a name on it, and it's not on their site anymore. Four people were also wounded in the barrage of gun violence. The teenager, Romaine Lawrence, and several friends were eating at a pizza shop in the Weston Road and Eglinton Avenue area when a car pulled up and shot at the store around 10 p.m. My opinion is that this case does have hallmarks of gang-related activity, Toronto Police Detective Scott Spratt told reporters on Tuesday. At this point, I don't have a motive. When emergency crews arrived, they found a second man lying outside the shop bleeding from gunshot wounds. That man, believed to be in his 20s, is still in hospital in serious condition. 2 other victims, one with a gunshot wound, took a taxicab to an area hospital for treatment. The non-gunshot victim was injured by glass debris from the gunfire, because that's when a bullet hits glass, the glass goes everywhere. Glass, one of the worst things to get hit with. An hour later, a 22-year-old man died after being rushed to hospital with gunshot wounds related to a separate incident. Jermaine Lincoln Brown of Brampton was found on the lawn of an apartment building at 235 Grand Ravine Drive in the Jane Street and Finch Avenue area. Police running when they arrived. Hospital with a gunshot wound to the leg. She had been shot in the Don Mills Road and Eglinton Avenue area. Police are looking for 2 suspects in the shooting, which may have been the result of a domestic dispute. The murders are the 14th and 15th of 2006, with 7 of them gun-related. Investigators are interested in speaking to the taxicab driver who picked up the 2 injured men and dropped them off at the hospital. Now, they probably never did. Okay, I'm going to read this next article because it links to the first one, okay? And I'll explain why. Dead teen tied to gang. This is the Romaine Lawrence. Where am I? Pals say good youth knew murder victims Hemmings and Beckles. It was a previous homicide. Shooting victim Romaine Lawrence was one of the youngest associates, quote-unquote associates, of a citywide gang, but friends defended him yesterday as a good youth and a kind kid. He was a little homie, said one teen. He was a crowd. The crowd Lawrence's friend was talking about is the 5 Point Generals Street Gang, or 5PG. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just checking that graffiti outside because I see. Because I do see that some of this tagged up sometimes. People who knew him said Lawrence, 18, was one of the most junior members associated with the citywide gang, which has about 30 members. Now, I'm going to tell you outright, some of this is very inaccurate. Lawrence also knew teen homicide victims Jermaine and Amon Beckles. I might be saying that wrong, I apologize. Who were killed last year within days of each other. Beckles outside a church during Hemming's funeral. You see how this all ties together? The murders may be linked, Lawrence's friends believe, but police would confirm only that they are sharing information between investigations. Police also confirm alleged gang ties, the quote hallmarks of gang activity. I know I don't need to say quote every time, I'm just for clarity because sometimes the way they type this stuff up. 3 others injured. Lawrence was killed and 3 21-year-old associates were injured Monday night after someone opened fire on the 244 pizza they were in on Weston Road at Eglinton Avenue West. Lawrence died at the scene. Another man was found with gunshot wounds in a back laneway, while 2 other men, one injured by a bullet and another by flying glass, took a cab to hospital. A small memorial of flowers and peanut punch, Lawrence's favorite drink, were left outside the pizza parlor. One note that had been left read, "Romaine ever loves. We miss." Aside from the thugs who walked up and opened fire, detectives are still looking to talk to the cabbie who drove the men to hospital. Okay, so when you don't put your name on an article, doesn't mean you should be an asshole when you write it, okay? Jesus. The Weston Road Friends of Lawrence, whose nickname was GP, said that no matter what the pal's background, he didn't serve his end in bloodshed. Jail. Just because he's been in and out of jail a couple times does not mean he needed 3 gunshots in the chest, a friend said. I cried for that youth last night. To see him go out like that hurts me. Another man who knew Lawrence from the Weston Road and Lawrence Avenue area said weeks ago. He was a kind youth, another teen said. He wasn't mean. Lawrence is the third of 4 kids. He and his older brothers, one of whom is in jail now, grew up in the neighborhood. Okay, so I bring that up because it happened same day, so it's linked together that way. And then you see he knew these other 2, one of whom was killed at the funeral for the previous one. This is a long chain of here. So, like I said, I read that last article just because it was linked in. In Toronto, if you get shot, hop in a cab. The cabbie will help you. The cabbie will take you to the hospital. It's not his car. It's rented. He don't give a fuck. If you could throw me a cab, because the cabbie will just drive you to the nearest hospital. The ambulance has to wait until the police come. The police take their fucking time because, oh, there's a shooting. Why would you rush to a shooting? I ain't saying they all like that. Okay, because I'm not trying to cause big grief. We've got a lot of issues to work out. Okay, I'm not saying they all like that, but a bunch of them are. You're a bunch of shots against the wall because I ain't got a vest. I ain't got a gun. Okay, I'm gonna get a vest, but that's hundreds of dollars. Okay, I got the computer because I need that. The vest is like, you know, worst case scenario protection. You bastards fucking run or fucking they fucking shooting at harshness for the police I got right now. This is about my homeboy. Okay, so in this case, this ties in. I don't want to start a fucking gang fight, yo. This ain't about gangs, yo. I'm gonna tell you that right now. This is about stories people tell. Okay, stories get people killed. They say they found my homeboy with a quantity of crack and a jammed 9mm next to him. And that's what they said. Now they say they didn't, and these stories. Some of these articles is gone from the web, so I'm gonna post what I found, copy paste in the description. The links to where I copied information disappears. Streetgangs.com runs a really good YouTube channel and a website that's just full of information that will teach you a lot about what's going on. We call it neighborhoods. We don't even call them gangs anymore. Okay? Like a gang, because you guys misunderstand the word gang all to hell. So my homeboy could hustle. He would come to me for like a 20 sack or a dime bag, because he didn't want to have lots of it laying around, and he knew I had it, and he could just run in, grab it, roll it, smoke it, and he doesn't have nothing, no paraphernalia, nothing. No, I got so complicated. I relocated and had legal concerns that are very complicated, so I'm not going to detail them right now. And then this happened a couple months after I relocated, so I hadn't even seen him for a bit. So he was a good dude, man. I didn't see him hurt nobody. I don't buy the story, and of course, since the case never went to court, it'll never be resolved by your legal system. I'm gonna just say Toronto's a screw-face capital. Sometimes the free man is the one in the cell. Okay, for real. There's a lot of people. Everybody got two sides. Everybody got two or three names. The truth is, black kids live 2 or 3 lives. It's KRS. So I'm not even sure how much I can tell y'all, but when they gave the police all this information, that tells you that the neighborhood did not kill Jermaine. Cause why would they fucking say? Why would they cooperate and say, yeah, we saw green or so, whatever, fucking all that? You know what I mean? They wouldn't say that. Why would they have any information at all? Now the heater, the burner don't mean shit, because what ballistic evidence is it? They obviously didn't find anything to link it to anything. Okay, and for all we know, it was dropped there. I'm gonna say most likely it was there before the police showed up, because a lot of people were watching apparently. 2006's movie Doomstown, 2005, 2006's movie Doomstown comes up. And it's a real good, yo, I gotta tell you, it's a fictional movie, but it's a really, really accurate depiction of Toronto at the time. I'm really glad they made it now, because the city, everything changes a little bit every day, and it's like a historical documentation. Okay, without getting into details of people's names and things. I've been in that hotel that's in the movie, and it was set up exactly the same way when I was there. And when I was there, we watched Blow and Traffic. We were there because somebody burned down a warehouse full of cyanide, so they wouldn't have to pay to clean it up. They poisoned like 50,000 people, and that's another issue I'll cover, just not right now. But this all happened in the same neighborhood, man. I don't live there now. All this crazy same neighborhood. So this neighborhoods issue has to do with fighting with each other, and gangs is just sometimes who you identify with as a set. I don't know if y'all notice some of these guys that are like straight gang members that are making music videos will sometimes have people that you would think, oh, they're gonna get along, and actually progressing in hip hop and using your brain. That you don't have to always be shooting at each other if there's some respect for each other. Know what I mean? And and I'm not talking made up BET gang, like fucking. I'm not talking about that bullshit. I'm talking about up here in Canada. People think things are soft. How do you think? There are. I mean, this all comes down to drugs. I don't know if I said it or if it was in the thing. My homeboy used to hustle. Yeah, I think I said that. He used to hustle. But him and some other people, I asked them. I've asked them, you know. And just it made it sound. It was so sad when they told me. But they like we smoke weed, right? But everybody we know smokes crack. Everybody in our neighborhood, everybody we grew up around smokes crack. That's how destroyed the neighborhoods these guys came up in are. So when you blame people, oh, you're selling rock, you're killing the neighborhood. No, you know, the neighborhood that made these guys was destroyed already. Absolutely tore this neighborhood apart. They went after the Hells Angels. They went after the people that owned uh, this one's fuck. I don't even know anymore who owns Jilly's. Jilly's changed hands once or twice, but it was at one point, you know, motorcycle club property, whatever. But they went after those people. They went after a number of independent businesses. They track. I swear to God, every year they would put in new streetcar tracks for no reason, and it would take months. And you couldn't park, you couldn't drive. There'd be one lane open to drive. So you'd have very slow one lane of traffic flying up the street. There's nowhere to park and get out and buy anything. There's lots of Chinese people that own houses and things out there. It got so rough when they flooded it with cocaine. Not the bad people, the police and the everything. Like all for really, it was real estate people. It was real estate people. There's so many developments. There was, oh Christ, millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of property changed hands. So follow the money. Did I just say that a whole bunch of money got my homeboy killed for no reason? Yeah, that's what I said. That and some gossipy people. So that autopsy viewing thing should tell you right there that this whole thing is crooked. And like I said, in this particular down and on the police, because this is one of the few times they seem, from what I've seen, they seem to have been attempting to do their job, and the community seems to have attempted to do their job, and it's getting stopped somewhere higher up. I'm telling y'all straight up, it's up the chain, someone's stopping it. People with relatives and friends and things. And I ain't worried about how this whole legal thing got it figured out in my dome. I mean, you could cap at me, I don't think you're gonna, because I think this whole thing came out of miscommunication. I think we all gotta make money. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm dressed in all black because I'm dressed in black because I like the color, because it'd be all black or all white. You know what I mean? But white would be so filthy, it wouldn't look. The temperature of my heart is like cold. You know what I mean? So this is what I had to say for Jermaine, and I'm gonna try and find some. I got some pictures up here somewhere, and I might have downloaded some too. And what more could I say? By own interpretation, you can listen to me read those articles. I want you to fucking think on it, man. All right.